The New York Knicks and the Atlanta Hawks are having discussions about a potential Quentin Grimes trade. And apparently, the Knicks are having targeted trades about Dejounte Murray and potentially a smaller deal involving AJ Griffin. We're going to break down this report and so much more today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. And make sure you have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. The Knicks and Hawks are having trade talks involving Quentin Grimes. Music to my ear, folks, because I've wanted Quentin Grimes to be traded to the Hawks in exchange for Dejounte Murray for the last few weeks. And I know the Hawks and the Knicks have been having talks about a potential deal. I know the Knicks have been trying to dangle Evan Fournier, Quentin Grimes, and a first-round pick in order to get Dejounte Murray to this team. But unfortunately, that doesn't seem like it's been enough in order to get a deal done, especially when other teams have been involved, like the Lakers and the 76ers and the Brooklyn Nets and other teams like that. However, as we get closer to the trade deadline and other teams don't make a play for Dejounte Murray, his value is going to go from here all the way to there. And that's exactly where Leon Rose wants it to be. Because once it gets there, maybe they get desperate enough and maybe the Knicks deal looks really, really compelling. And at that point, who knows what could happen. But let's go into the recent report we have from NBA insider Michael Scotto about the New York Knicks and their trade discussions with the Atlanta Hawks. Per Michael Scotto of Hoops Hype, he notes that Knicks guard Quentin Grimes, who was previously discussed in Donovan Mitchell trade talks, came up again in separate discussions for Clarkson and Olynyk with the Utah Jazz. Grimes has also come up in multiple trade discussions with the Atlanta Hawks for guard Dejounte Murray, and a separate smaller discussion involving AJ Griffin. The Hawks are intrigued by Grimes as a potential 3-and-D fit next to Trae Young. For those of you that don't know, we did drop a video about AJ Griffin and the Knicks' interest in him a few weeks ago. But a good point to mention here as well is that Griffin is a CAA client, has fallen out of Atlanta's rotation after showing promise as a rookie, averaging 8.9 points in 19.5 minutes on 46.5% shooting from the field and 39% from beyond the arc. As we mentioned at the top of the show, the Knicks have dangled the expiring contract of Evan Fournier, Quentin Grimes, and draft pick compensation for a potential upgrade to the roster. Shout out to Michael Scotto of Hoops Hype for giving us this update on the New York Knicks and their trade discussions with the Atlanta Hawks. It seems, even as of right now, the New York Knicks are still actively looking to help this roster improve and upgrade. And one of the ways to do that is to go after guard Dejounte Murray or to go after forward AJ Griffin. Either way, no matter which way you go about it, the Knicks are definitely looking to upgrade this roster and add more pieces to it because they know when you go into the postseason, when you go into the playoffs, you might need more pieces to rely on because you never know what Quentin Grimes is going to give you. You never know what Deuce McBride is going to give you. So you have to make sure you have pieces available that you can put in to make sure you can still have offense and defense while your starters are getting rest. And there is no issue for me with the New York Knicks going after Dejounte Murray because that's the player that I've wanted the Knicks to go after for the last few weeks. A lot of you, I've seen you in the comments, you've stated this guy is obsessed with Murray. This guy loves Murray. This guy wants Murray on his team more than anything else. And to an extent, you might be right, but there's a reason for the obsession. The reason for it is he is a perfect fit for this team. He would fit perfectly under Tom Thibodeau, played great with the backcourt in Jalen Brunson. He would give you size. He would play defense in the passing lanes. He is a great playmaker. He can score. He can shoot. He could give you the mid-range. He could play with the bench and help the reserves get better. Each and every way you slice it, Dejounte Murray makes sense for this team. And let's say he doesn't fit this team exactly. I still argue his value would improve under Tom Thibodeau, and he could help you make that star or superstar trade that you want to make in the future as well. Dejounte does all of that. He checks all of the boxes. I'm not sure why some Knicks fans have grown a little bit sour on the idea of trading for him. Maybe because they think his value has gotten really high. And if that's the case, I'm with you there. I understand that. I want Dejounte. But I don't want to just get Dejounte by giving up each and everything I can to get him. I still think there's a fair price on the table, and I think that's what the New York Knicks are having discussions about right now with the Atlanta Hawks. And did you notice that in the report that Michael Scotto mentioned here, he stated that in a separate, smaller discussion, the Knicks potentially could trade Quentin Grimes for AJ Griffin. What that tells me is the New York Knicks are absolutely looking to make another move to help improve this roster. But it also tells me is that the New York Knicks have no problem going after smaller upgrades. They don't need to make that superstar trade or all-star trade or a very significant trade that gives up a lot of assets right now. Because of what's happening right now with the New York Knicks, they're winning, they're dominating teams, they're blowing teams out. Because of the way they look, even down a few of their key players, all of that changes the Knicks and their trade plans. So maybe they want to target a few of these key players that can help their bench, so that way their starters can rest, their bench can stabilize the offense, and that way when the starters come back in, they're still more rested and they don't have to play 40 to 45 minutes a night. And that way you don't burn them out going into the playoffs. Maybe that's the move the New York Knicks make now, and they make that superstar trade this offseason. Even if that's the case, though, I still think getting Murray still accomplishes that. And even though you're going to probably make the argument that you don't want to touch what the starting unit is doing, especially Donte DiVincenzo, who is shooting lights out, averaging career highs. Last night, he just dropped the career high 9 3-pointers made in a game. He's looking like the splash brother the New York Knicks always needed. He is doing things on that court with Jalen Brunson that is making you question whether the Knicks need to make that move or not. But trading for a player like Dejounte, he is a game changer. He is a different type of player. There are players here that we're talking about, and then there are elite players. That's the caliber of player that Dejounte Murray is. And yes, I understand. If you bring him into this team, you're going to push Donte DiVincenzo to the bench. Somebody who is having a sensational season for the New York Knicks. I understand that. But I think he would have a sensational season off the bench still for the New York Knicks. And I think Dejounte Murray would add so much more life to the starting unit for this Knicks team. He would help pass the ball more. He would help draw defenders more. And when Julius Randle's back, that means you have Dejounte Murray and Julius Randle both pulling players, both pulling double teams, getting other players off of Jalen Brunson, opening up the paint so that way you have other players driving to the bucket for easier baskets. That way you have other players open in the corner for the three-point shot. That's what Dejounte Murray would give you as well, too. We have to understand that while it looks good what the New York Knicks are doing right now, and we can fall in love with everything that looks right, we have to understand that the playoffs is a different degree of play. It's a different level. And when you're talking about the playoffs, you need to have the best players available, players that fit what you're trying to do right now. Dejounte Murray does that. AJ Griffin, to an extent, does that too, but in my opinion, it's a failure to trade Quentin Grimes just for AJ Griffin, because Quentin Grimes right now has his value increasing. His value is going up, and because of that, Quentin Grimes' value is much higher now. If the Hawks want him, they're going to have to give us another significant player. And in my opinion, here's the thing that everybody should do, because again, it makes sense for everybody. Quentin Grimes, Evan Fournier, a couple of first-round picks, protected, unprotected, and you go ahead and you give that to the Atlanta Hawks, you get yourself AJ Griffin, who fits perfectly into the Obi Toppin trade exception, and you get yourself that guy, Dejounte Murray, who's going to help this Knicks team go from fringe contenders to absolute contenders. And if you're a Knicks fan, if you're in the Knicks front office, is that not what you're trying to do right now? Is that not the move that you're trying to get right now? And if you could do that at a significantly discounted price because the Hawks can't move him for anything, then why are we talking about it? Why are we not making this move and getting Murray and getting AJ Griffin on this team for Grimes, the expiring Fournier, and a couple of first-round picks that don't mean anything to us because we have a plethora of first-round picks that we can go ahead and draft and choose from? And let's not forget my guy, Ian Bagley, an NBA insider with SNY. He did report that the New York Knicks internally were supporting the move to add Dejounte Murray to this roster because they also believe, like I do, the fit with Jalen Brunson and Dejounte Murray makes sense. So I think this is the trade the New York Knicks need to make, And the closer we get to the trade deadline, 8 days away, guys, February 8th. Once we get closer to that date, his value, if he's not moved, is going to get lower and lower and lower. And that's going to be music to Leon Rose's ears. He's going to pounce, he's going to jump in, and he's going to do everything in his power to try to get Dejounte Murray on this roster. This, again, is the current reports we're hearing that the Knicks are actively, currently, right now, still trying to trade Quentin Grimes for a significant player, whether that be with the Utah Jazz with Jordan Clarkson or Kelly Olynyk, or my favorite guy, you guys already know, Dejounte Murray. That's the guy for me. If you get Dejounte and AJ Griffin for Grimes, Fournier, and a couple of protected first-round picks, I'm going to say Leon Rose fleeced the Hawks. He got exactly what the Knicks needed, and the Knicks are now set up in pure contention in the NBA Finals. But what about you guys? Let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think about a Dejounte Murray move to this Knicks team? Do you still believe in the move like I do? Do you still want to see it? And do you think that Quentin Grimes is the center of it all? Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below, and of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.